Hello and welcome to my new video. This is my top 5 first-person shooters. Okay, at number 5 in my top 5 first-person shooters is Medal of Honor Allied Assault on the PC. This was, to me, one of the best, it certainly ranks as the best Medal of Honor game as far as I'm concerned. It was absolutely staggering to play this game when it first came out. The terrific thing about it was one of the first games that really delivered the kind of feeling of being in the war. The first sort of level is kind of, well, it's not the first level actually. I don't know if it's the second or third level, but it sort of delivers the feeling of being on the beaches at Normandy and was as close to Saving Private Ryan as I think most gamers would ever want to get close to. The graphics were absolutely phenomenal. There was brilliant set pieces. The one, aside from the storming the beach at Normandy, one of the levels involved going through a French town, and there was German snipers, and that was one of the most tense levels that I've ever played in. It was simply a phenomenal game. It was Medal of Honor at its best. It was one of Electronic Arts' finest hours, and it really does make you wonder just exactly why they've insisted on making a pig's ear of this franchise. Pretty much ever since this game, it's never reached the heights that this did. Interestingly enough, this was developed by a company that went on to be known as Infinity Ward, and went on to Activision to do the Call of Duty games that many people love. So, kind of an interesting side note there. They've now ended up back at EA, so I'm kind of hoping that they managed to recapture some of the thunder they bottled when they did this. Awesome game. Okay, at number 4 is Duke Nukem 3D. Oh, what can I say about this game that hasn't already been said? It, to me, is an absolutely brilliant first-person shooter. It was one of the first-person shooter games I played that there was actually a considerable degree of interaction with the environment that you were in, whether it be daft things like using the toilets, using the water fountains, being able to move pool balls around a table, just mad stuff like that. Duke Nukem 3D was a first-person shooter on steroids, and in some cases quite literally. It was just completely insane. The bad guys were insane, the boss battles were insane, the set pieces were insane, and it was a game that made no apologies for itself, but even being able to go into a strip club and pay strippers to take off some of their clothes. It was just ridiculous. It made no apologies for what it was. And by today's standards, that might not seem that big a deal, but this came out in the mid-90s and caused a bit of a stir back then. I mean, this type of thing hadn't really been seen before, and so it was unique, and it's kind of difficult, by today's standards. Like I say, people probably don't think too much of it, and indeed when Duke Nukem Forever come out, it got a pretty tepid response, which I thought was a little bit unfair. But you have to remember that, when this come out, it was pioneering, and it was awesome. And the character of Duke Nukem is just so ridiculously over the top that it's untrue. And it was just an awesome game to play. And more importantly, it was fun. It didn't take itself too seriously. It had a stab at various genres, be it horror movies, sci-fis, and even video games. Just simply a fantastic game to play. Okay, at number 3 is Call of Duty 2. Again, this is an Infinity Ward game. Now, those of you that watched the earlier parts of the video, which I'm assuming all of you have done, you'll know that this is by the same guys that did Medal of Honor Allied Assault. This, to me, was the last really, really good Call of Duty game. And that might be a controversial thing to say, but I never really got on with Call of Duty going into the modern settings. I kind of like the Black Ops games. Modern Warfare 3 to me was a crushing disappointment. And although that was developed by Infinity Ward, the two main guys, West and Zampella, were not there to make that game. And it really does show. But going back to Call of Duty 2, just simply an awesome game. Fantastic settings. You play American, British, and Russian soldiers. Fantastic action. Brilliant set pieces again. When it came out, the graphics were pretty amazing too. I got this on the launch day for the Xbox 360 and I was absolutely blown away. The thing that also works extremely well with Call of Duty 2 was the online multiplayer. Now, whereas it's kind of interesting that Western Zampella sort of introduced the ranking up system and the more complex multiplayer elements in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, or Call of Duty 4 if you wish to call it that. In this game it still remained a simple choose your class, go out there and shoot people, and I spent the most hours playing a first person shooter online playing this when the Xbox 360 come out. This was really the introduction to online gaming for me as it's known today, and it was simply amazing. I had some of the best times I ever had playing this online, and very few, maybe Left 4 Dead, but very few have ever come close to recapturing that. So yeah, that's at number 3. At number 2 is Half-Life 2. Again, this is another one of those games. What can you say about it? Absolutely seminal, fantastic, remarkable. The only blight I would have against this was having to endure the whole bloody Steam fiasco. I actually bought a PC to play this game. That's how much I loved Half-Life 2. Taking the Steam element aside, graphically it was staggering. A beautiful game. The Source engine is still being used today, is a fantastic engine. Very versatile, allows for sort of enclosed environments and equally wide open cityscapes and landscapes, handles them all with the greatest of ease. But what was compelling about this game wasn't so much its technical achievements, but its sheer playability and variety. It took the basic elements of what was introduced in Half-Life and ramped them up to maximum volume. It was just incredible, compelling. I really struggle to tear myself away from this game playing it, and I've gone back time and time again playing this game simply because I love it so much. The bad guys are varied. They are an evolution of what you saw in Half-Life. There's fantastic driving sections in it. There's the hovercraft section going around there. You've got the Combine coming after you. There's a real sense of being immersed in a very dystopian future, and it's just an incredible game, an absolutely incredible game. And what else can I say? It's Half-Life 2, and for, one of the things that's often been overlooked is, even though your character is mute throughout the game, it actually works in terms of making you care more about Gordon Freeman than you would do if he was yakking on all the time. And then you've probably got the best sidekick that was ever introduced into a game, Alex Vance, who she actually is useful. She actually does useful things. So, yeah, brilliant game, and that's why it's in at my number 2. Okay, if there was only ever going to be one game that ousted Half-Life 2 from the number 1 slot for me, and it would be the original Doom. People will often say Doom was the daddy of all first-person shooters, and I tend to disagree a little bit with that. I think that you can't rule out the influence that Wolfenstein 3D had. But what Doom did was brought around that really intense gameplay. Wolfenstein 3D really didn't have it. It was kind of a bit formulaic. I mean, Wolfenstein 3D was kind of more of a tech demo, I think, to show that, a first-person shooter was possible. Doom took it completely to the next level. Quite literally, you had multi-level levels, meaning that you had up and down environment as well as just going across the flat sort of gamescape that you were in Wolfenstein 3D. The bad guys were fantastic. There was moments that would genuinely make you jump. The level layouts, the design, the look, the feel, the sheer playability of this game is simply absolutely awesome. And I've played this game on more formats than I've ever played any other game. I've made it my mission in life to make sure that I play all of the official Doom releases across all different formats, and I've either done it or I'm exceptionally close to doing it. There's never been a game that I have played as much as I've played Doom. I just simply love this game. I will play it now. I mean, the biggest challenge I have now is deciding which format I want to play it on. There's never been a game that I've ever owned or played that has made me want to go back playing this game over and over again, and that is why Doom is at number 1 in my first-person shooter top 5. It's just simply a fantastic game. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for more to come.